The sound that broke Olivia Bennett was not the photo notification. It was the elevator ding. Soft, polite, metallic. The same sound her husband's private hotel elevator made every time it opened onto the penthouse suites at the Aurelia. Olivia froze in the middle of the nursery, one hand pressed against the pale cream wall she had spent all afternoon choosing for their daughter. Rain tapped against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan. Somewhere below, a siren wailed through the wet streets, then disappeared into the night. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. Then the image loaded. Damian Cole stood inside a gold-mirrored elevator at 1:07 in the morning, one arm around Sabrina Vale's waist while she laughed into his shoulder. Her red nails rested against his chest like she belonged there. Damian looked relaxed. Comfortable. Too comfortable for a man who told his pregnant wife he was trapped in emergency meetings all night. But that was not what made Olivia stop breathing. It was the watch. Silver face. Black leather strap. Tiny scratch near the clasp from the weekend they dropped it on the dock in Martha's Vineyard. The anniversary gift she had saved for 6 months to buy. Her stomach tightened hard enough to make her bend slightly forward. Then the baby kicked. A sharp little movement beneath her ribs, almost angry. Olivia swallowed carefully and looked at the unfinished crib sitting beside the wall. Damian promised he would build it himself before the baby came. 3 weeks later, the box was still unopened. Outside, thunder rolled low across the skyline. She checked the time again. 2:13 a.m. Still no call. Still no message. The penthouse suddenly felt too large, too quiet. Every lamp glowed warm gold against marble and glass, but none of it felt like home anymore. It felt staged, like a luxury hotel pretending to be a marriage. Her phone lit up again. Another photo this time. Damian stepping out of the elevator with Sabrina beside him, his hand low against her back as they walked toward the suite hallway. Olivia stared at it for a long moment before locking the screen. Something inside her went strangely calm. Not numb. Worse. Clear. Slowly, she walked toward Damian's office. Her bare feet crossed cold marble floors while rainwater streaked the windows behind her like tears the city was too proud to admit to. The drawer opened easily. Inside sat a leather folder, heavy cream stationery, and the packet she requested from her attorney 3 weeks earlier but never believed she would actually use. Divorce papers. Her fingers trembled lifting them out. Not from fear. From the realization that some part of her already knew this night was coming before the photos ever arrived. The elevator ding echoed again in her memory. Soft. Polite. Final. A key turned at the front door. Olivia looked up sharply. Damian stepped inside carrying the smell of rain, whiskey, and perfume that did not belong to her. His tie hung loose around his collar. His dark hair was slightly damp from the storm outside. For one dangerous second, he looked exactly like the man she fell in love with 12 years ago. Then she saw the lipstick stain near his collarbone. Small, careless, permanent. Damian loosened his cufflinks without looking at her. You are still awake? Olivia tightened her grip on the papers so hard the edges bent against her palm. Upstairs, thunder cracked across Manhattan again, and deep inside her pocket, her phone vibrated one more time. Damian glanced at the vibrating phone in Olivia's pocket, then at the papers in her hand. For a second, neither of them moved. Rain crawled down the windows behind him in silver streaks while the city lights flickered across the marble floor. You are being dramatic, he said finally, loosening his watch and dropping it onto the kitchen island with a soft metallic clink. The sound hit Olivia harder than it should have. That watch used to mean something. Weekend trips. Anniversary dinners. His hand around hers while promising they would never become one of those cold billionaire couples who slept in separate rooms and communicated through assistants. Now it sat beside divorce papers and another woman's lipstick stain. Damian walked past her toward the bar without noticing the way she stared at him like she was seeing a stranger wearing her husband's face. You disappeared all night, Olivia said quietly. He poured himself bourbon. I told you we had investor meetings. At the Aurelia Hotel? His hand paused halfway to the glass. Just for a second. Too fast for most people to notice. But Olivia noticed. Because 12 years of marriage teaches a woman the difference between confidence and recovery. Damian took a slow sip. Someone sent you pictures. Not a question. His voice stayed calm, but she saw something shift behind his eyes. Annoyance. Not guilt. Definitely not shame. annoyance that his private life had reached her before he could control the story. Olivia slid the papers toward him across the marble. I am done pretending this marriage still exists. Damien looked down briefly, then signed the last page without reading anything except his own name line. That hurt worse than if he had screamed. Olivia felt her throat tighten as he pushed the papers back toward her like a dinner receipt. You will regret this tomorrow, he said. You are exhausted. No, that was the terrifying part. She had never felt more awake. Upstairs, water started running in the shower. Olivia stayed frozen in the kitchen listening to it. The penthouse suddenly sounded hollow. Empty pipes. Rain against glass. The faint hum of Manhattan 30 stories below. Then Damien's phone lit up on the counter. Sabrina, last night was worth every risk. Olivia stared at the message until the screen dimmed again. Her chest rose unevenly. Not because of Sabrina. Because Damien never even tried to hide it. The elevator ding echoed in her head again. Soft. Polite. Final. She picked up his phone before she could stop herself. 3 unread messages. 1 photo. Olivia opened it. Sabrina smiling into the mirror of a hotel suite while Damien stood behind her adjusting his cufflinks. His face partly hidden. Her silk dress draped across the chair beside them. Timestamp. 12:42 a.m. Olivia suddenly remembered Damien canceling dinner 3 weeks earlier because of late negotiations. Then another canceled ultrasound appointment. Then the charity gala where Sabrina somehow already knew Damien preferred Macallan over wine. Tiny moments. Tiny lies. All connecting at once. Her stomach tightened sharply enough to make her grip the counter. The baby kicked again. Olivia closed her eyes and pressed one shaking hand against her belly. I know, she whispered softly. I know. Upstairs, the shower turned off. Panic flashed through her body so suddenly it almost embarrassed her. Not fear of him. Fear that if he walked downstairs right now and apologized convincingly enough, some broken part of her might still forgive him. She grabbed the divorce papers fast, folding them against her chest. Then her eyes landed on Damien's watch beside the bourbon glass. The tiny scratch near the clasp caught the kitchen light. Martha's Vineyard. The dock. The happiest weekend of their marriage. Olivia picked up the watch slowly and realized something cold that made her pulse start pounding. Damien had not taken it off in the hotel photos, which meant Sabrina touched the one thing that used to belong only to her. Footsteps sounded upstairs. Then Damien's voice drifted casually down the hallway. Olivia, where's my phone? Olivia's fingers closed around Damien's phone before she even realized she had moved. The screen was still unlocked. Upstairs, drawers opened and shut while Damien searched for it casually. Like this was still a normal night inside a normal marriage. Did you see my phone? He called again. Olivia did not answer. Her pulse thudded painfully behind her ribs as she stared at the message thread with Sabrina. Weeks of conversations. Photos. Flight confirmations. Hotel reservations. One message stopped her cold. Sabrina, she still thinks you love her. The timestamp was 3 nights ago. Damien replied almost immediately. She loves stability. That is enough for her. Olivia felt something physically shift inside her chest. Not heartbreak anymore. Something deeper. Humiliation with all the warmth burned out of it. Another kick pressed against her stomach. Strong. Restless. As if even the baby could feel the tension poisoning the room. Upstairs, footsteps moved closer. Olivia locked the phone and set it carefully beside the bourbon glass exactly where it had been. Then she slid Damien's watch into the pocket of her sweater. She did not even fully understand why. Maybe because it was the last thing in this marriage that still felt personal. Maybe because Sabrina's fingerprints were probably still on it. Damien came downstairs drying his hair with a towel, relaxed again now that he assumed the crisis had passed. He stopped when he noticed the papers were gone from the counter. You are seriously keeping those? He asked with a tired smile. Olivia leaned against the island to steady herself. You signed them. I sign 100 things every day. The words landed harder than he intended. She saw him realize it too late. For the first time all night, silence stretched between them long enough to become uncomfortable. Damien looked away first. That tiny moment should not have mattered. But it did. Because Damien Cole never looked away first. His eyes drifted toward the nursery hallway. You should not stress yourself out like this before the baby comes. Olivia almost laughed at the absurdity of it. His voice carried the same calm tone he used during investor interviews, charity galas, magazine covers. the polished billionaire husband everyone admired. Meanwhile, another woman was sending him hotel photos at 2 in the morning. "You missed the ultrasound again," Olivia said quietly. Damien exhaled through his nose. "We talked about this." "No. You talked." "I listened." His jaw tightened slightly. There it was again. Annoyance. Like her emotions were creating scheduling problems. Outside, lightning flashed across the windows, bleaching the penthouse white for half a second. Damien's phone buzzed again. This time they both looked at it. "Sabrina, call me when she falls asleep." Olivia stopped breathing. Damien grabbed the phone instantly, but too late. The damage had already landed. A strange expression crossed his face then. Not shame. Calculation. He was trying to decide which version of the truth would cost him less. Olivia suddenly understood something terrifying. This was not new. Not emotionally. Maybe she had only discovered Sabrina tonight. But Damien had been leaving the marriage piece by piece for months. Maybe years. Canceled dinners. Missed appointments. Conversations cut short. The second his phone lit up. The unfinished crib upstairs still sitting inside its shipping box. Promises abandoned quietly enough that she kept making excuses for them. Olivia pushed herself upright slowly. "I cannot do this anymore." Damien rubbed one hand across his face. "You are overreacting because somebody sent pictures." "No," she said softly. "I am reacting because my husband stopped coming home long before tonight." That finally hit him. Not emotionally. Strategically. His eyes sharpened slightly as if he was reassessing a negotiation that suddenly became dangerous. "Who sent you the photos?" he asked. Olivia stared at him. Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "Can we fix this?" "Who sent the photos?" Thunder cracked again above the city. Then Damien's phone rang. The caller ID lit up bright against the dark kitchen. Nathaniel Reed. The kitchen went completely still. Rain hammered the windows harder now, thick sheets of water sliding down the glass, while Nathaniel Reed's name glowed across Damien's phone like a warning neither of them expected to see tonight. Damien grabbed the device so quickly the bourbon glass tipped slightly beside him. "Why is your lawyer calling me?" he asked. Olivia noticed it immediately. "Your lawyer. Not Nathaniel. Not Nate. Not the man who used to spend Christmases with them in the Hamptons before Damien decided Olivia's old friends were too ordinary for their new life." Damien answered the call without taking his eyes off her. "What?" Silence. Then his expression changed almost invisibly. Tiny, but real. Olivia watched the confidence leave his face 1 inch at a time. "What do you mean delayed?" Damien snapped suddenly. "No, move it tonight." Another pause. His jaw tightened harder. Then came the first crack. "Who authorized legal review?" Olivia felt her pulse begin to climb. Nathaniel's voice was faint through the speaker, but she caught one sentence clearly. "Your wife has rights you clearly never bothered reading." Damien ended the call immediately. The silence afterward felt heavier than shouting. For the first time that night, Olivia saw uncertainty in him. Not emotional uncertainty. Financial. Strategic. Dangerous. Damien set the phone down carefully this time. Too carefully. Like he was trying not to reveal how hard his mind was racing. "What exactly did Nathaniel tell you?" Olivia folded her arms slowly across her stomach. Interesting choice of question. "Olivia." "No," she interrupted softly. "You do not get to use that voice with me anymore." That stopped him. Because she was right. It was the same controlled voice he used on nervous investors and junior executives. Calm people down. Regain control. Redirect the conversation before panic spreads. But Olivia was no longer trying to keep the marriage comfortable. And Damien was starting to realize it. Lightning flashed outside again, reflecting sharp, white light across the penthouse. For a brief second, he looked exhausted. Older somehow. Then the mask returned. "What is Nathaniel doing?" Olivia stared at him in disbelief. Still not asking about the baby. Still not apologizing. Still trying to calculate the damage before acknowledging the betrayal. A memory surfaced suddenly. 2 months ago. Damien standing in the nursery doorway while answering emails during dinner. "You worry too much," he told her without looking up from his phone. Back then she believed him. Now she understood something painful. Damien trained her to doubt her own instincts because it made his lies easier to manage. Olivia moved toward the hallway slowly, one hand brushing the wall for balance as another tight pressure rolled through her stomach. Damien noticed immediately. "Are you okay?" The concern sounded almost real. Almost. She looked back at him with tired eyes. "Do not start pretending now." His face hardened. Not because she hurt him, Because she refused to cooperate with the version of the story he preferred. Damien stepped closer. You are making decisions emotionally. Olivia let out a quiet laugh that nearly broke in the middle. No, Damien. Emotional was defending you when people warned me about you. That landed. She saw it. A flicker behind his eyes before he looked away toward the rain-dark skyline. Then his phone buzzed again. Email notification. Urgent. Voting structure review request. Damien opened it instantly. Olivia watched the color drain from his face for the second time that night. His thumb froze over the screen. Finally, slowly, he looked up at her. Not as his wife. Not even as the mother of his child. For the first time in years, Damien Cole looked at Olivia Bennett like she might actually have the power to ruin him. And somewhere deep upstairs inside the unfinished nursery, something heavy crashed onto the floor. The crash upstairs echoed through the penthouse like a gunshot. Both of them looked toward the nursery at the same time. Damien moved first. Fast. Instinctive. Olivia followed slower, one hand against the wall as another tight ache curled low across her stomach. Not pain exactly. More like her body reacting to stress faster than her mind could process it. By the time she reached the nursery doorway, Damien was already standing still in the middle of the room. The unopened crib box had tipped sideways. Pieces of pale wood spilled across the carpet beside the tiny stuffed elephant Olivia bought 3 months ago after hearing the heartbeat for the first time. Rainlight washed the room blue through the windows. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then Olivia noticed what Damien was staring at. Not the crib. Not her. The documents spread across the floor beneath the fallen box. Nathaniel's files. She must have left them there earlier while choosing paint samples. Damien bent down before she could stop him. His eyes scanned the first page quickly. Trust ownership summary. Voting rights allocation. Cole capital equity structure. Olivia saw the exact second understanding hit him. His shoulders went rigid. What is this? He asked quietly. Not angry anymore. Worse. Careful. Olivia stepped forward and picked up one page before he could reach it again. Something you should have asked about before sleeping with another woman. Damien ignored the comment completely. His focus stayed locked on the paperwork. You own voting shares? Olivia almost laughed at how unreal the question sounded. After 12 years together, he was just now discovering pieces of her life because he never considered they might matter. My father invested early, she said softly. Before the company became yours. Damien's expression darkened immediately. Why was I never told this? The question landed like ice water. Not why did you hide it from me? Why was I never told? As if access to her family's assets was something he naturally deserved. Olivia looked around the nursery slowly. Half-painted walls. Baby clothes still folded in bags. The unfinished crib Damien promised to build months ago. Then she looked back at him. You stopped asking about me a long time ago. For the first time that night, Damien did not answer immediately. His eyes drifted toward the elephant on the floor. Tiny. Gray. Worn soft from Olivia carrying it around stores trying to decide if it was ridiculous to buy toys before the 3rd trimester. Suddenly, she remembered standing alone at the checkout counter that day because Damien canceled again. Tokyo investor call. Urgent meeting. Always something. The elevator ding echoed inside her head once more. Soft. Polite. Final. Only now she understood why it haunted her. It was not the sound of Damien cheating. It was the sound of realizing she had been emotionally abandoned long before she ever saw the photos. Damien stood slowly, still holding one document in his hand. How much control do you actually have? There it was. Not fear of losing her. Fear of losing leverage. Olivia watched him carefully. Enough that Nathaniel called you personally instead of your board. His jaw tightened. Outside, thunder rolled lower this time, rattling the windows faintly. Damien stepped closer. Olivia, listen to me carefully. If investors think there is instability inside my marriage right before the IPO, my marriage, she interrupted quietly. The words cut sharper than yelling. Damien stopped, because he heard it too late. Mine, not ours. Downstairs, his phone began vibrating non-stop against the kitchen counter. One call after another. Emails. Notifications. Crisis moving faster than he could contain it. For years, Olivia watched Damien control rooms full of billionaires with nothing but calm eye contact and silence. Tonight's silence was controlling him. His phone buzzed again upstairs in his pocket. This time he looked at the screen and went completely pale. Olivia caught only one line before he turned it away. Media inquiry. Aurelia hotel photos. Then another message appeared beneath it from Sabrina. Why are reporters calling me? Damien stared at Sabrina's message for so long the screen dimmed in his hand. Why are reporters calling me? The nursery suddenly felt smaller, colder. Olivia watched him unlock the phone again, his thumb moving faster now. Emails, notifications, missed calls piling up one after another. A man who built an empire on control was losing control in real time. And for the first time all night, Olivia realized something almost unsettling. She was not afraid of him anymore. Damien started typing quickly, then stopped halfway through the message. His eyes flicked toward her. Calculating again. Always calculating. You contacted the media, he said quietly. It was not an accusation. It was worse. An assumption. Olivia folded another tiny baby blanket and placed it carefully into the drawer beside her. You really think I had to? Damien's jaw tightened. Outside, lightning rolled across Manhattan again, briefly illuminating the half-finished nursery in sharp white light. The room looked beautiful from a distance. Expensive wallpaper, imported furniture, designer lighting. But up close, everything important was unfinished. Just like them. His phone buzzed again. This time Damien answered immediately. Tell legal to shut it down before markets open. A pause. Then another. Olivia watched his face carefully. No, he snapped suddenly. Nobody talks to the press until I approve a statement. He ended the call harder than intended. The tiny stuffed elephant fell sideways off the shelf from the vibration. Olivia bent slowly to pick it up before he could. Her stomach tightened again when she crouched. Sharper this time. Damien noticed immediately. You should sit down. The concern in his voice almost sounded genuine. Almost. But Olivia understood something now she could never unsee. Damien cared most when problems became visible, when there was something measurable to lose. She lowered herself carefully into the rocking chair near the window. Rain streaked the glass behind her while the city shimmered below like another universe entirely. Damien paced once across the nursery floor, then stopped near the unfinished crib box. You should have told me about the shares. Olivia looked up slowly. Not I should not have cheated. Not I hurt you. The shares. Always the shares. A bitter smile touched her mouth before disappearing. You stopped asking questions about my life years ago. That is not fair. The words came fast this time. Defensive. Olivia almost laughed again. Fair. Like fairness had anything to do with tonight. She remembered sitting alone at doctor appointments while Damien sent flowers with apology cards written by assistants. Remembered eating dinner beside his empty chair while financial news played on television praising him as a visionary family man. Remembered the unfinished crib upstairs that still smelled like cardboard because he never opened it. Then another memory surfaced. 3 months ago, the charity gala. Sabrina touching Damien's watch while smiling across the table. Beautiful piece. Back then Olivia ignored the strange look between them because she trusted her husband more than her instincts. Now that memory felt radioactive. The elevator ding echoed through her head again. Soft, polite, final, not a sound anymore. A warning she failed to hear in time. Damien's phone rang once more. He looked at the caller ID and went completely still. Board chairman. Olivia saw genuine fear flash across his face before he masked it. He answered carefully this time. Frank. Silence. Then Damien glanced toward Olivia. Longer than before. No, he said slowly. She is not involved in this. Olivia's eyes narrowed slightly. Not involved in what? Damien turned away toward the hallway instinctively, lowering his voice. But not low enough. We can contain the hotel situation, he said. The bigger issue is the voting structure leak. Leak. The word hit Olivia immediately. Nathaniel did not accidentally call Damien tonight. This was pressure. Strategic pressure. And suddenly Olivia realized something that made her pulse spike harder than before. Nathaniel had started moving against Damien hours ago, maybe before the photos were ever sent. Damien ended the call and looked back toward her. This time the calm billionaire mask was cracking visibly around the edges. What exactly did Nathaniel promise you? Before Olivia could answer, the nursery television mounted near the wall suddenly flickered on by itself. Breaking news flashed across the screen. Then the Aurelia hotel photo filled the room. The television light flickered across the nursery walls in cold blue flashes. Olivia stared at the screen without moving. There they were, Damien and Sabrina inside the Aurelia elevator, his hand at her waist. Her smile tilted toward him like she already belonged in Olivia's life before Olivia even knew her name. The same elevator ding echoed faintly through the news clip audio. Soft, polite, final. The reporter's voice filled the room. Sources close to Coal Capital are questioning whether the scandal could impact the company's upcoming IPO. Damien grabbed the remote and killed the screen instantly. Silence crashed down harder than the broadcast itself. For 1 second, Olivia almost felt embarrassed for him. Not because he cheated, because he looked exposed. Human. A billionaire who spent years controlling every camera angle in his life, suddenly standing helpless in front of his own unfinished nursery while strangers discussed his affair on live television. Damien dragged one hand through his damp hair. Nathaniel leaked this. Olivia looked at him carefully. You sound very sure. He is trying to pressure the board. No, she said quietly. He is trying to protect me. That hit harder than she expected, because saying it out loud forced her to confront something painful. Nathaniel noticed she was drowning before her husband did. Damien paced once toward the window, jaw tight enough to twitch. The skyline reflected across the glass behind him in fractured lights. You have no idea what this does to the company, he said. Olivia blinked slowly. Not us. Not their child. The company. Again. Her stomach tightened sharply this time, enough to steal her breath for a second. She lowered her eyes instinctively, fingers gripping the arm of the rocking chair. Damien noticed and immediately stepped toward her. What is wrong? She looked up. At him. Really looked at him. And suddenly realized something devastating. Damien only became emotionally present when consequences became visible. A public scandal. Falling stock value. Stress contractions. Things he could measure. Olivia inhaled carefully through the discomfort. Do you remember the first ultrasound? Damien frowned slightly, caught off guard. What? The first one, she repeated softly. Do you remember what day it was? Silence. Not long, but long enough. Olivia felt her chest hollow out quietly while he searched for the answer and failed. March 17th. She remembered because she cried in the parking garage afterward when he canceled 20 minutes before the appointment. Board dinner. Emergency call. Always something more important. The tiny elephant slipped from her lap onto the floor again. This time Damien picked it up. The sight almost broke her. Because he looked awkward holding it, like a man touching evidence from a life he barely participated in. His phone buzzed again in his hand. Another message from Sabrina. Please tell me this is temporary. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Temporary. As if Sabrina still believed she was the real interruption here. Damien typed something back quickly, but Olivia noticed his hand shaking slightly now. Not from guilt. Pressure. His entire world was beginning to tilt at once. Then another email notification slid across the screen. Emergency board meeting request. 7 a.m. Damien read it twice. Olivia watched his breathing change. Faster now. He finally looked at her fully again, and this time she saw it clearly. Fear. Not fear of losing the marriage. Fear that she might stop protecting him. Thunder rattled the windows harder than before. Somewhere below, Manhattan traffic still moved through the rain like nothing was collapsing 30 stories above it. Damien stepped closer carefully, lowering his voice. Olivia, if this turns public before the IPO, people get hurt besides me. The wording caught her immediately. People. Employees. Investors. Reputation. Everything except the woman sitting in front of him carrying his child. A bitter ache spread through her chest. For years, she thought Damien ignored her because he was ambitious. Tonight, she understood the truth was uglier. He ignored anything that did not directly threaten his control. Then his phone rang again. This time, Damien went completely still before answering. He stared at the caller ID so long Olivia could see his reflection trembling faintly in the dark television screen. Finally, quietly, he answered. Sabrina, what did you do? Damien turned away the second Sabrina started talking. But Olivia could still hear panic bleeding faintly through the speaker. What do you mean they followed you? Damien hissed. His voice dropped lower as he walked toward the hallway, but the nursery carried sound strangely at night. Every sharp breath seemed louder against the rain. Olivia stayed motionless in the rocking chair, one hand resting over her stomach while the city lights blurred beyond the windows. Then she heard Sabrina say something that made Damien stop walking completely. She posted what? Silence. A dangerous kind. Olivia watched his shoulders stiffen beneath the white dress shirt still wrinkled from the hotel. The same shirt from the elevator photos. The same shirt he wore while telling his pregnant wife she was overreacting. Damien rubbed one hand over his face hard enough to leave red marks along his jaw. Delete it immediately. Another pause. Then lower, colder. No, Sabrina, listen to me carefully. You are making this worse. Olivia closed her eyes briefly. Worse. That word again. Like the affair itself had not destroyed anything yet. Only the visibility of it. A sharp pressure twisted through her stomach suddenly, stronger than before. She inhaled carefully and shifted forward in the chair. The baby moved hard beneath her ribs. Restless. Almost frantic. Damien turned back toward her mid-conversation, and for the first time all night his expression changed instantly when he saw her face. Not calculation. Alarm. He ended the call without warning. What is wrong? Olivia tried standing, but another wave tightened through her body hard enough to make her grip the armrest. The nursery blurred for half a second. Damien crossed the room immediately. Olivia. His voice sounded unfamiliar now. Raw. Unpolished. She hated that some part of her still reacted to it. I am fine, she whispered automatically. The lie tasted ridiculous the moment it left her mouth. Damien crouched beside the chair carefully, eyes fixed on her stomach. How long has this been happening? Olivia almost laughed from exhaustion. Now he notices. Not when she ate alone for months. Not when she cried in parking garages after appointments he skipped. Now, because her body was finally showing visible damage. Rain slammed harder against the windows as another contraction rolled through her. Damien reached for her instinctively, then stopped halfway like he suddenly realized he no longer knew whether he was allowed to touch her. That hesitation hurt more than the affair. Olivia looked down at his hand suspended awkwardly between them and remembered another hand years ago. Damien kneeling beside her on a tiny apartment kitchen floor while promising they would build a family together no matter how long success took. Back then his hands shook because he loved her. Tonight they shook because everything around him was collapsing. His phone vibrated again on the floor nearby. Neither of them moved toward it. The screen lit the nursery carpet blue. Sabrina's social media account. Hundreds of notifications exploding upward. Then Olivia saw the image preview. Sabrina had posted the hotel suite mirror photo herself. Not accidentally. Deliberately. Caption. Some women keep the ring. Others keep the man. Olivia felt the last fragile piece of denial inside her finally break apart. Not because of Sabrina. Because Damien still looked more panicked about investors than about humiliating his wife publicly. He grabbed the phone fast and swore under his breath. She is out of control. Olivia stared at him in disbelief. Out of control? Like Sabrina created this alone. Like Damien had not opened the door for her himself. Another tight pain curled through Olivia's stomach, sharper this time. Her breathing hitched before she could hide it. Damien looked up instantly. Fear crossed his face so openly now it almost shocked her. Olivia, he said quietly, we need to go to the hospital. The elevator ding echoed in her memory again. Soft, polite, final. Only this time, for the first time all night, Olivia realized the sound no longer reminded her of Damien leaving with another woman. It sounded like the end of something much bigger. Then Damien's phone lit up once more. Incoming call, Board Chairman Frank Holloway. And beneath it, a new headline notification appeared across the screen. Coal capital heiress at center of billionaire scandal. The drive to the hospital felt unreal. Rain blurred across the windshield while Manhattan lights smeared into gold and white streaks outside Damien's black Escalade. The city still moved like normal. Taxis, late-night diners, neon reflections on wet pavement. Meanwhile, Olivia sat curled against the passenger seat, gripping her stomach, while her entire life cracked apart beside her. Damien drove one-handed, the other clenched tightly around his vibrating phone. Calls nonstop. Board members, legal teams, PR executives, Sabrina. He ignored all of them now. That should have felt satisfying. Instead, Olivia only felt tired. Another contraction tightened low across her abdomen, sharp enough to steal her breath for a second. Damien noticed immediately and lowered the radio without thinking. The gesture almost broke her heart. Not because it was romantic, because it was basic human care. And she realized how starved she had become for even that much attention. You should focus on the road, she whispered. Damien glanced at her quickly. I am. But he was not. His knuckles stayed white against the steering wheel, while notifications continued lighting the dashboard blue every few seconds. Coal capital stock concerns. Heiress claims surface. Aurelia Hotel scandal expands. The empire was bleeding publicly now, and for the first time, Damien could not outtalk it. Olivia looked down at her hands resting over her stomach. Her wedding ring still sat there catching faint dashboard light. Strange. After everything tonight, she had forgotten to take it off. The elevator ding echoed softly in her memory again. Only now it sounded different. Not like betrayal. Like awakening. The exact moment she stopped waiting for someone else to choose her. The hospital parking garage appeared ahead through the rain. Damien pulled in too fast, tires splashing through standing water. The second the car stopped, he rushed around to her side before she could open the door herself. Olivia hesitated when he offered his hand. That hesitation visibly hurt him. Good. Not because she wanted revenge anymore. Because she needed him to finally feel uncertainty too. Inside the emergency wing, fluorescent lights washed everything pale and cold. Nurses moved quickly around them, while monitors beeped somewhere deeper in the hallway. A doctor guided Olivia toward triage while Damien followed half a step behind, still clutching his phone. Then another notification lit up the screen. Sabrina Vale issues public statement. Damien stopped walking. Olivia watched his face drain completely. The doctor touched her arm gently. "Ma'am, we need to get you seated." But Olivia could not stop staring at Damien. Not the billionaire. Not the polished CEO. Just a man standing alone under hospital lights while every decision he made finally caught up to him at once. He opened Sabrina's statement slowly, then closed his eyes. Olivia already knew. Sabrina was protecting herself now. People like Damien and Sabrina only stayed loyal while things felt glamorous. Pressure changed everything. A nurse wrapped a blood pressure cuff around Olivia's arm, while another adjusted monitors against her stomach. The baby's heartbeat filled the room suddenly. Fast. Strong. Alive. Olivia felt tears burn unexpectedly behind her eyes. Not because of Damien. Because for the first time all night, something still sounded certain. Damien looked up at the monitor too. His expression shifted completely hearing that heartbeat. And suddenly Olivia understood something devastating. He did love their daughter. He just loved power more. The realization settled quietly between them while rain hammered the hospital windows 30 floors below the skyline they used to rule together. A nurse handed Olivia paper